Ladies and gentlemen, I have known Shri Rajiv Gandhi during 1963-64 when we used to meet during flying training at Delhi Flying Club. He used to come with the NK session. His smile and compassionate nature made us friends. We kept in touch with them. I was in the getting training in the gliding section and he was in the flying section, and he asked me, why don't you come and become a commercial pilot? I said, I am a refugee boy, I cannot afford it. He said, I will pay for it. But I couldn't accept his hospitality. Later, we kept in touch with each other when he became Prime Minister, and I used to send him my newspaper, Noida News, regularly. Then one day his press advisor, Shada Prasad ji, called me. He said, Prime Minister wants you to compile this story of Pandit Nehru in Noida News and publish a book. I said, no, I don't know how to publish a book. I'm just a small journalist. And one day, to my great pleasant surprise, Shada Prasad ji called me. He said, speak to Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi. And he spoke to me. He said, why are you doing Nakhra? Why don't you compile these stories into a book? He said, then he asked me, who are you? I said, I am the same chap who was with you in flying days. He said, oh, you ditched me, you are the same fellow. And he started making jokes. And then he said, give me a promise that you will compile this story into a book and publish it. I said, I will do it on one condition, that you will release my book. Then he said, yes, Shada Prasad will give you time. How much time will it take? I said, maybe about 3 months. Then Shada Prasad ji gave me 27th February 1989 date. And my book was ready, which was released by Rajiv Gandhi ji, Manavta ke Pratik Pandit Nehru. And my family was there. My 3 daughters had a great photo session with Rajiv Gandhi. And he was very, very nice, very, very sweet. And he made lot of jokes during our flying days. And his sudden death, assassination, shocked my family. And I decided to write a book on him by interacting with people who are known to Rajiv Gandhi. I contacted Dr. K.K. Paul, who was probably Joint Commissioner of Police, Delhi, good friend of mine. He was in charge of the security for Rajiv Gandhi when he was out of power. Dr. Paul introduced me to telephone one ACP Arun Kampani, and I was asked to meet him at Kalkaji police station. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to share brave deed of Delhi police who were always ready to die while guarding their VIP protectees. Through the courtesy of Dr. K.K. Paul, I met following brave police officers of Delhi who have given me insight, knowledge of humane nature, compassionate nature, kind nature of Rajiv Gandhi, which nobody could ever tell me. Joint Commissioner of Police, late Ujjwal Mishra, DCP Arun Kampani, ACP Om Kumar, now retired, ACP late B.R. Kashyap, PSO ACP OP Sagar, PSO Inspector Suresh Kaushik. I was asked by Dr. K.K. Paul to meet Arun Kampani at Kalkaji police station. I reached police station and met young, handsome IPS officer Arun Kampani, who welcomed me. After proper introduction, I placed small tape recorder on the table before him and asked him to share his pleasant memories of former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. To my great shock, Arun Kampani burst into tears and started weeping loudly. Another young police officer, PSO Suresh Kaushik, was also crying. I had never seen police officer weeping before, and it was my first experience with Delhi police, whom I found humane with a kind heart. 30 minutes interview took more than 90 minutes, as ACP Kampani would burst into tears after every 5 minutes interval. For the first time, I felt it was a noble mission. I must dedicate myself to revive memories of Rajiv ji, who had given so much to the nation in just 5 years. He had a vision to take India into 21st century, but alas, he was not there to see it through. Later, I located and interviewed these officers. I must admit that human nature of Rajiv Gandhi, as explained by police officer, was amazing, better than a politician. Joint Commissioner Ujjwal Mishra, in his video interview, told me that we used to receive complaints from our security staff about their protectees, but no one ever complained against Rajiv Gandhi. They simply loved him, adored him. One Rajiv Gandhi, during Sadbhav Yatra, noted PSO Pradeep Gupta limping at Patna. He asked PSO Sagar to bring his briefcase, in which he always carried first aid medical kit. Rajiv ji removed his socks and sprayed painkiller himself. Later, PSO Pradeep Gupta told reporter Rajiv Shukla that Saab was a farishta and he would be happy to die for him while protecting him. As you know, that PSO Gupta was killed while protecting his boss Rajiv Gandhi on 21st May 1991. Jatin Rajan, who was stopped by Rajiv ji when she was following him to the dais, saw a lady garlanding, trying to garland Rajiv Gandhi. Suddenly, human bomb exploded and there was stampede and chaos and smoke everywhere. Janti fell on the ground. When she got up, worried GK Mupanar met her and asked her, "Where was Rajiv?" Janti saw human limbs scattered and dead bodies all over the ground. She started looking all over and saw PSO Gupta, who was injured but alive at that moment. Not realizing that the body of his boss was Rajiv ji was lying on him, Janti recognized body of Rajiv ji by looking at his lotus shoes. Janti asked PSO Gupta, "Are you okay?" Gupta replied, "Please tell me, is my boss safe?" Before Janti could talk to him, Gupta died and followed his boss to the heaven. PSO Gupta had told Rajiv Shukla that I can give my life for this farishta, and he proved it by getting killed while trying to protect him. In fact, PSO Gupta was not supposed to go to Madras. He pleaded to his boss AC Kampani to let him go to Madras instead of PSO Kaushik, who was assigned this duty. AC Kampani first reprimanded him, but later reluctantly allowed him to replace PSO Kaushik. It was destiny, ladies and gentlemen. Death spared PSO Kaushik, who felt PSO Gupta was lucky and became a martyr. During his interview, Kaushik said that he was living life of PSO Gupta and he had stopped celebrating his birthdays. This is a true story of brave policemen of Delhi police who were often accused of as heartless and inhuman, which is not correct. Another touching anecdote was narrated by PSO Kaushik when Sonia Gandhi along with daughter Priyanka Gandhi were flying by Air Force plane to Madras to bring body of her slain husband, PSO Kaushik asked R.K. Dhawan, how about body of PSO Gupta? Dhawan asked them to speak to Madam Sonia Gandhi. Mother and daughter were weeping throughout the journey. Sonia had lost her loving husband, and Priyanka had lost her devoted dad. When Kaushik noticed that Sonia had stopped crying, he approached her and politely asked her, can we bring body of PSO Gupta in this plane? Sonia forgot her personal grief and told him yes. Convey to the authorities to bring body of Gupta to the airport. When they landed at Madras, body of Rajiv Gandhi had arrived in a shabby wooden box. PSO Kaushik approached Governor Babu Bisham Narayan Singh and complained that proper coffin had not been used to carry body of Rajiv ji. Governor gave instruction to the administration to force open coffin shop and bring proper coffin, which were brought after some time. In the meantime, body of PSO Gupta was brought wrapped in a white sheet. PSO Kaushik shifted body of his boss in new coffin, and body of PSO Gupta was placed in other coffin, and Kaushik was crying and crying and crying to see his boss, whom he had just sawn off yesterday when he bye-bye to his boss while flying to Bhubaneswar. Another touching incident was narrated by PSO Kaushik. While they were returning from Madras, coffin of Rajiv Gandhi and PSO Gupta were placed on the floor by removing chairs from both sides. Sonia Gandhi and daughter Priyanka were crying and they were inconsolable. Suddenly Priyanka noticed that there were a lot of flowers on the coffin of her dad, which were placed by Congress leaders at Madras airport. There was no flower on the coffin of PSO Gupta. Priyanka indicated coffin of PSO Gupta to her mom. Priyanka whispered to her mother to pick up flowers from the coffin of dad and place it on the coffin of PSO Gupta. Gupta too was a martyr and had to be respected. Sonia got up, picked up a lot of flowers and placed it on the coffin of PSO Gupta. Then she sat down on the floor near the coffin of PSO Pradeep Gupta with folded hands and prayed for him. First time biographer noticed kind and compassionate nature of Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi attended funeral of her husband Rajiv Gandhi with thousands of people from all over crying and weeping as they loved Rajiv Gandhi. Rajiv loved every Indian irrespective of creed or religion. Rahul had also returned from abroad after getting tragic news. After funeral was over, Sonia instructed Rahul to go to PSO Gupta's house with PSO Kaushik to offer condolences. This is called compassionate nature of Gandhi family. I wish to share with you another incident of brave police officer of Delhi. Rajiv Gandhi left for Bhubaneswar on the evening of 20th May 1991. He was himself flying the plane along with co-pilot Captain Chandog. There were following passengers on this plane: Chief Engineer Anand Verma, chopper pilot Vijay Trehan, Captain Vijay Trehan, PSO OP Sagar, Mr. Suman Dubey, Mr. DP Ray, Congress leader, two members of Bulgarian TV camera team. Rajiv Gandhi was received by ACP company and many Congress leaders at Bhubaneswar airport. Next day on 21st May, Rajiv Gandhi reached airport to board helicopter already parked there. AC company and PSO Sagar boarded the chopper where Rajiv Gandhi was talking to Congress leaders. Rajiv Gandhi asked two Odisha Congress leaders to board the chopper. Captain Trehan objected and explained that his chopper could not accommodate more than 2 persons beside Rajiv ji. Pilot told Rajiv Gandhi, "You have two choices. Either you take security persons or Congress leaders. Rajiv Gandhi thought for a moment, then took a most risky decision of his life, which cost him his life. He asked both security officer Arun Kampani and O.P. Sagar to get down so he could accommodate two Congress leaders. Arun Kampani pleaded with his boss to let him go with him to Madras as he was going on a dangerous mission. Rajiv ignored his pleading and asked him to go back to Delhi as two PSO will be able to guard him and protect him, and he was not afraid of his people of India. AC Company did not like it, but boss was adamant and both had to get down from the chopper. AC Company was extremely worried but was helpless. Rajiv Gandhi gave instruction to co-pilot Captain Chadok to reach Visakhapatnam between 4 to 5 p.m. on the same day. He asked P.S. Sagar to fly to Visakhapatnam with Captain Chadok in the evening. Rajiv Gandhi flew to coastal area of Odisha, Andhra to address election meeting. When Rajiv Gandhi landed at Visakhapatnam airport by chopper, he was told by Captain Chadok that fuse of RT, the wireless system, was blown off and he had no extra fuse. He cancelled the visit to Madras on that day and they proceeded towards rest house, circuit house. PSO Sagar took a short turn to the circuit house with Captain Trian, chopper pilot. Suddenly, Rajiv Gandhi got a wireless message from Captain Chadok that fuse had been found, RT was working, permission has been granted. Sir, what are the instructions? Rajiv Gandhi said, let us take off. Ask them to wait for 10 minutes. Then he saw PSO Sagar was missing. They waited for 5 minutes at the airport and Sagar could not reach. He didn't get the message. And they flew off without PSO Sagar. Another tragedy. He was left with only one PSO who had left from Delhi. And this is a great tragedy. How destiny calls.
The 20th of May in 1991, we left Delhi in the evening for Bhubaneswar. Shri Rajiv Gandhi piloted the plane himself and we had a Bulgarian camera team on board, and we also had Mr. Suman Dubey and his PSO, Mr. Sagar. The weather, I remember that particular evening, was extremely bad, and in spite of that, he made a perfect touchdown at Bhubaneswar. D.P. Rai was on. That's right, Mr. D.P. Rai was also on board.
Well, it was a nightmare, but it hadn't started off like that. You know, we were all very, very excited. It was the end of the campaign. Campaign had gone very well. Rajiv ji had drawn tremendous crowds and tremendous enthusiasm all over the country. We were waiting for him at Madras airport, and though he'd had a very hard week of campaigning, he got off on the aircraft at about 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night on the 21st. He was coming from Andhra, looking very cheerful and very fresh. And before that, I remember talking to Pradeep Gupta, who is a security officer, who had come in straight, and he hadn't come on Rajivji's plane, who told me that he was so proud that...
Now you see, we had over 450 protected people Mr. Gandhi was unique. Unique, I say, not only as a leader, but as a human being, because it was the humanity in him which attracted all of us. I remember the first day we went to meet him, he had a firm appointment and there was a slight delay. And we were quite shocked why this delay has taken place. So we asked one of the aides, why is this delay taking place? Mr. Gandhi is already in his office. He said, no, you see the mixie is out of order, he's fixing it. That was Mr. Gandhi. He loved to do things himself. Something that our politicians should learn, and all of us should learn, that a person who believed in his own ability, in his own hands, he used to drive his own car, he used to love to do that. He used to take keen interest in every electronic gadget, whether it was given by us or whether it was his own. And over the years, we saw those aspects of him which were truly amazing. So when we had to select his personal bodyguard, who we called PSO, the Personal Security Officer, it was an uphill task, because we had to have a person who had the stamina to match him. Now, stamina is a very big thing, because his working hours were morning to late night, and there were nights when he hardly slept. And it is surprising that when so many of our PSOs used to come and complain about the people they were protecting, that they have lack of sleep, with Mr. Gandhi it was totally different. Each PSO loved him. They found in him a human being who always was so fussy about the man's comfort, so much so that when he decided to go on a trip abroad and we could not get the necessary permission and clearance for the PSO, that was Pradeep Gupta, the late Pradeep Gupta, who later died with Mr. Gandhi in Maharashtra. And no, it was Pradeep Gupta who was the first trip. And for about 7-8 days, Pradeep told me later that he hardly slept. And he never complained. He said, I was just in awe of that man. I used to just keep looking that a man who has hardly had a wink of sleep, he gets up in the morning sprightly, or is almost breaks into a run when he has to meet someone, or where he has to go somewhere. And I said, have you learned how about computers? I said, no, not yet, but we are buying it. We are trying to pick up. He says, that's the future. Mention that. He said, that's the future. So, it was in the 80s, and today we are an IT nation, and most of the dream was his.
पटना में आना था, और विशाखापट्टनम पहुंचने के बाद साहब काफ़ी जनसभाएं जो इलेक्शन रैलीज थी उनको अटेंड करने के बाद जब वहाँ पर पहुँचे तो पता लगा कि भाई अब वहाँ जाना है तो ज़रा जल्दी करो। तो हमने कहा सर अभी तो आप आए हैं, थोड़ा रेस्ट कर लो। कहता नहीं वहाँ जाना है, मद्रास जाना है, वहाँ भी मीटिंग है, तो आप जल्दी करो। हमने कहा ठीक है सर। मैंने साहब के बैग वगैरह सारे, जो मेरा भी बैग था, अपना भी बैग था, और साहब का बैग वो लेकर मैंने वहाँ रख दिया किंग एयर में, और साहब का एक कुर्ता पजामा मैंने अपने हाथ में रख लिया। साहब ने कहा भी सागर तुम ये कुर्ता पजामा अपने हाथ में रखो, मैं मद्रास एयरपोर्ट पे उतरूँगा, उतरने के बाद ये कुर्ता पजामा मुझे दे देना, मैं उसको चेंज करने के बाद फिर इलेक्शन मीटिंग में जाऊँगा। मैं कहा ठीक है सर। उसके बाद चंडोक साहब आए। चंडोक साहब ने हवाई जहाज को स्टार्ट करने की कोशिश की, उसमें कोई स्नैग आ गया। हाँ, उसकी कोशिश करिए उसको किसी तरह फ्यूज ठीक हो जाए। चीफ इंजीनियर साहब ने भी, वर्मा साहब ने भी कोशिश की, साहब ने भी कोशिश की, और खुद राजीव जी भी अंदर चले गए हवाई जहाज में। मैं भी पीछे गया, सब साहब ने चेक किया। मैंने कहा सर अब ये ठीक नहीं हो रहा है, आज क्यों ना हम यहाँ विशाखापट्टनम में ही ठहर जाते हैं, मौसम भी बड़ा अच्छा हो गया है, और आज मौसम में कोई वो नहीं है। सर मैं फ़ोन कर देता हूँ या मैसेज भिजवा देता हूँ अपने मद्रास के लिए कि भाई मीटिंग पोस्टपोन कर दी जाए, उसको बाद में देख लेंगे। कहता चलो ठीक है फिर आज कैंसिल करते हैं। फिर हम सब लोग वहाँ चलने लगे सर्किट।
आपको कोई आशंका थी उस दिन?
नहीं, आशंका तो मेरी 20 तारीख को थी, 21 तारीख को कोई आशंका नहीं थी, क्योंकि 20 तारीख को लगा था कि कोई अपशुगन ना हो जाए, लेकिन 21 को कोई कुछ नहीं था, क्योंकि 21 तो बड़ा अच्छा दिन था। सब सारी सभाएं, शाम तक सभाएं सब ठीक ठाक हो गई थी। जब हम पहुंचे वहां पर अपने एयरपोर्ट पर, जब जलने लगे सर्किट हाउस के लिए, इतने में साहब ने कहा भाई आप ऐसे करो, आप दूसरी कार से आ जाओ, मैं सुमन दुबे को मुझे दो। तो वहाँ के लोकल लीडर वगैरह सब कारें बैठ गए, मैं पीछे बैठ गया। साहब सर्किट हाउस जाने लगे, मैं साहब के साथ पीछे दूसरी गाड़ी में आने लगा। इतने में एसडीएम साहब थे वहाँ के लोकल, वो कहने लगे डोंट वरी, हम शॉर्ट रूट से लेके चलूँगा जिससे कि हम साहब से पहले पहुँच जाएंगे। वो दूसरे रूट से लेके गया, मैं साहब दूसरे रूट से गए। लेकिन इसी दौरान कहीं पीछे से मिस्टर चंडोक ने कहा भी जहाज़ ठीक हो गया साहब, आप वापस आ जाइए। साहब वापस आ गए। हम जब तक पता लगा सर्किट हाउस पहुँचे तो पता लगा कि साहब तो आए नहीं है। वहाँ से फिर पता किया, कहने लगे साहब तो वापस एयरपोर्ट चले गए। हमने बड़ी कोशिश की वापस एयरपोर्ट पहुँचने की, लेकिन हम नाकामयाब रहे, जहाज़ उड़ गया। और मुझे वो मिस्टर वहाँ हनुमंत राय जो वहाँ के प्रदेश कांग्रेस कमेटी के चेयरमैन थे, उनको साहब बोल गए कि भाई सागर जब आप वापस आए तो इसको ज़रा प्रॉपर इसका अरेंजमेंट रखना। कैप्टन ट्रेन भी वहीं रह गए। उसके बाद बुल्गारियन टीम भी वहीं थी। उसके बाद हम उन सबको लेके होटल में गए, वहाँ अपना रेस्ट फ्री वगैरह हुए, फ्रेश हुए हम सब। उसके बाद इसी तरह राजीव जी के साथ वो घटना, जो रात को मैं वहाँ खाना खा रहा था, मैं अभी एक ही टुकड़ा खाया था खाने का, दूसरा खाने लगा तो आवाज़ आई सागर सागर। मैंने कहा मेरा तो कोई इस इलाके में कोई जानने वाला नहीं है। लेकिन जब मैं वो ड्राइवर ही था मेरा जो मुझे एयरपोर्ट से वहाँ तक लाया था, वो मुझे ऊपर लाया, बताने लगा साहब मद्रास में बम विस्फोट हो गया। उसके बाद पता किया, मैंने फ़ोन पता किया, थोड़ी देर में फिर विशाखापट्टनम में आग लगने लगी, कहीं इधर आग लग रही है, कहीं उधर आग लग रही है। उसके बाद 10 जनपद से मैंने कंफर्म किया, पता लगा कि साहब की उसमें डेथ हो गई बम ब्लास्ट में। बड़ा दुख हुआ। उसके बाद तो मतलब ये लगा कि कोई दुनिया से हमारा चला गया।
प्रदीप गुप्ता 4:30 बजे फोन आया कि कौशिक हैप्पी बर्थडे। मैंने कहा, मैं मजाक में मैंने कहा ठीक है सुबह 4 बजे से बात कर। और वो मुझे आखिरी बार हैप्पी बर्थडे कह के और वो फ्लाइट से चला गया। मैंने भी कुछ दिन में काम होते वो काम निपटाए। शाम रात को करीब 10 बजे मेरे पास गाड़ी आई और लेने के लिए। मैं नज़दीक रहता हूँ 10 जनपद के। मैं 10 जनपद पहुँचा। मुझे मालूम नहीं था क्यों बुलाया, कोई रात को जरूरी काम आ जाता था, कोई नया एकदम से प्रोग्राम बन जाता था तो बुला लेते थे। कल का प्रोग्राम बनना है, कैसे जाएगा, कौन गाड़ी जाएगी, कितना स्टाफ जाएगा, ड्यूटी उनको खबर करनी होती थी। जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव काम था उसके लिए बुला लेते, क्योंकि मैं सबसे नज़दीक रहता था, मुझे बुला लेते थे। तो मुझे बताया नहीं गया, मुझे मालूम नहीं था। मैं वहाँ पहुँचा 10 जनपद। वहां जाके पता चला राजीव जी नहीं रहे। हमारा वहां पे एक टाइम पे करीब रिजर्व मिला के 40 आदमी सीआरपीएफ फॉर्म होते थे। हर आदमी सीआरपीएफ का या कोई भी दाढ़ी मार मार के रो रहा था, बंद बंद करो बंद कर रोना। 10 जनपद पे हर आदमी, चाहे वो सीआरपीएफ का था या कोई था, दाढ़े मार मार के रो रहा था। किसी को यकीन नहीं आ रहा था ये बात सच है। बाहर काफी भीड़ थी उसी समय। एक और घटना हुई थी, राष्ट्रपति जी आ रहे थे, शायद किसी पथराव कर दिया था। आलम ये था कि किसी को नहीं पता था क्या करना है। अनएक्सपेक्टेड चीज किसी ने सोचा नहीं था। सिक्योरिटी स्टाफ एक दूसरे को कंसोल कर रहा था।
रात को कितने बजे गया जी आप?
रात को प्रोग्राम बना कि राजीव जी की बॉडी को लेके आना है। राहुल जी विदेश में थे, प्रियंका जी, सोनिया जी, प्रियंका जी, DK नेहरू जी, इनके परिवार के आदमी थे। 2 बजे यहाँ से इंडियन एयरलाइंस की एयरफोर्स की फ्लाइट थी, उसमें करीब 2 बजे चले हम यहाँ से। RK धवन जी, बड़े कम आदमी थे उसके अंदर, RK धवन जी थे। रास्ते में मुझे ख्याल आया प्रदीप गुप्ता की बॉडी का, वो कैसे आएगी। मैंने धवन साहब से, RK धवन साहब से कहा, मैं कैसे प्रदीप गुप्ता की बॉडी को क्या हम लेके आ सकते हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि भाई इस बारे में मैं फैसला नहीं ले सकता और मैडम बताएंगी। मैडम बैठी हुई थी, बड़ी गमगीन थी। मैं उनके पास गया, मैंने मैडम को बताया, मैडम गुप्ता की बॉडी को क्या हम ला सकते हैं। मैडम ने बिना कुछ सोचे हुए तफाक से कहा, हाँ जरूर जरूर साथ रानी है।
I recollect that he told me, he says, you all have worked so hard day and night, and we all need a little holiday. He says, after we get back to Delhi, you plan a little outing with your family. In fact, his very words were, थोड़े दिन हम छुट्टी जाएंगे. Who would know that this was what he meant by that बिल्कुल ही छुट्टी हो जाएगी. And these are the last words that I remember of his absolutely devoted husband and a father. He would tell us that he gets very little time, but the little time that he gets, he loves to spend with his family. Well, I've had the privilege of flying with Srimati Sonia ji. She was a lady who spoke very little, which is sometimes misconstrued, but all I would say that she is more Indian than any other Indian lady. At times during a flight, she would personally serve us on board also.
I am now speaking from the office of Mr. Arun Kampani, ACP, Kankaji Police Station. I got his reference from Dr. K.K. Paul. I believe that he was security in charge of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi when he shifted to 10 Janpat after losing power to VP6. Mr. Kampani, when you first time took over security of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi and met him, how were you received by him and what was your impression of the person, Mr. Kampani? My first meeting with Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was on 3rd February 1990 when I was told to go and take over the security charge for the Prime Minister of India at 10 Janpat. This was the time when the Special Protection Group handed over security to Delhi Police, and at that time Mr. Rajiv Gandhi had not actually shifted from 7 days post road, and it was actually on 5th of February that he shifted, when I was formally introduced to him by Mr. R.P.N. Shahi, introducing that henceforth it will be Delhi Police which will be looking after the security of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. I met him for a very short while at that time, and it was thereafter that during my various interactions with him, initially, that I found him to be very amiable, cultured and considerate person. I visited Manipur with him. Mr. Kampani, did you also go with him on his out of Delhi tour, and what kind of crowd you could find, and what kind of behavior was the entire person after doing hours of traveling and giving speeches? So the security setup at 10 Janpat was my prime responsibility, because outside Delhi was the subject of the state for looking after the security of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. Nevertheless, I traveled with him many a times, and our PSOs also used to travel with him. Whenever we used to go with him, outside Delhi, one thing which I found in him was a nature which would always have adherence to rules. For instance, if he has to board the aircraft, he would always ask us for a boarding card before we would climb up the ladder for the aircraft. Though everybody would be knowing that it is his Rajiv Gandhi, but without giving his boarding card, he will never climb up the ladder. Even in the aircraft, he would be swarmed by people asking all kind of questions,